Hey everyone, welcome back to Positive Vibes from the Valley. I'm your host Gabriel, and this is season 3, and we're going to be taking things up a notch. We're going to have brand new guests, more insightful conversations, and new behind the scenes content. As always, we're going to be exploring the 8 dimensions of wellness, but we're going to open things up a bit. The last 2 seasons, we focused on one dimension of wellness for each guest. But through these conversations, we learned that a lot of our guests have great wisdom to share across multiple dimensions. So we're going to expand the conversation and see how all these dimensions connect with one another. With that in mind, I couldn't be more excited to bring you our first guest for season 3. Meet Lisa Grayson. Now, Lisa is an amazing person. We talked a lot before and after our podcast, and I wish I could have recorded it all because she's always sharing knowledge. Mostly inadvertently because the different things she's experienced in life have given her so much wisdom. Lisa is a licensed massage therapist and a certified personal trainer, among other things. She is the founder of Healing is the Children's Bread, which is where she runs her practice. It's a great facility, and she was most gracious enough to host me. Her passion is for healing through massage therapy and physical fitness. Her business is founded on Christian principles in order to bring about a better physical and spiritual quality of life. Her faith and physical fitness go hand in hand, which is why she is the perfect guest to start off season 3. As I mentioned earlier, this episode is going to be special because after we recorded our podcast, we filmed a short therapy session so you can get a more realistic look on how she does things. She actually helped me work through some physical issues that I've been dealing with for a while, and some things that I didn't even know I was dealing with. You're gonna see why she has raving reviews from her patients. Not only does she know what she's talking about, but she genuinely cares about your well-being. Her passion is undeniable. So without further ado, Lisa Grayson. All right, Lisa, how's it going? We just had a great session. It's so awesome seeing you work. I can tell you're very passionate about it, which is why I wanted to talk to you about, all that you do in your life. Of course, we're doing this podcast series on the dimensions of wellness. Absolutely. And we're on season 3 now. And my goal for season 3 is to focus on people who have, interests in various dimensions of the 8 dimensions of wellness. And for you, you seem to have this beautiful tie-in between, physical wellness and spiritual wellness. Yes. And it's my understanding that it took you a long time, a long journey to get to that. So I kind of want to start at the beginning. Okay. We talked a little bit about your childhood and kind of like a lot of the trials and tribulations that you went through. So if you don't mind sharing and sort of taking me through like kind of how you got there, or kind of how you got here, I should say.
To the studio?
Yeah, to the studio. Okay. Your now profession. Like what led you to do all of this?
Okay. For the end answer to that is prayer. So prayer was the one that led me to fitness to begin with, and through fitness it led me to massage therapy. But it wasn't. So I started my health and fitness journey in 2000 and I want to say 11. I started with a fitness company called Body by Vi. Okay. And it was actually a response to prayer, an answer to prayer. And in the beginning, I'm not very good at telling my story. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay.
However it comes out, it's
what it comes out.
Is how it comes out. Yeah.
Okay. I'm much more of a writer than I am a storyteller.
No, I mean, it's tough to like put things in like chronological order, but okay. So I guess let's go back to 2011. Like, where were you at before you found, what was it? The fitness
industry.
Yeah. What were you going through in your life?
Okay.
Before you found this.
So I'm going to start with salvation because that's what I believe. Once I received salvation, my whole life changed. And so before salvation, I was unhealthy. I was not overweight, but I smoked cigarettes. I drank. I was on I had a lot of pain, like neck pain and back pain and hip pain, and just so I was, taking prescription medicines and just not healthy and not happy either.
Did you know you were not healthy or happy, or did you just kind of thought this was like
I
the
didn't
status
know it.
quo?
Yeah, I
Okay.
was seeing chiropractors and, trying to find my peace, and so it was once I became saved, once I had reached salvation, the Lord, it was in the church, and a friend of mine was actually, okay, so it's a little bit of a longer story. So I was going to get involved in a network marketing company.
Okay.
And I'm the last person because I was not about sales at all.
But you were going to go for it anyway.
Well, no, it was because of prayer.
Okay.
I didn't do anything outside of prayer. So unfortunately, before Christ, I didn't have like a lot of comfort. Like I was basically an introvert. I didn't leave the house. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't talk to anybody. I was very like to myself. And when I had salvation, the Lord kind of really changed me a lot in that He made me more outgoing. I just understood the need to, that He didn't put a light under the table. And so, when I started reading the Word, that started to transform my views and my lens of how I saw life. So I became more trusting of the Lord, so I could reach out and do things that I wouldn't have done outside of Christ.
Outside your comfort zone.
Right.
Okay.
So one of the first things He did was lead me to network marketing. And I walked in faith with that, and then that actually failed. They ended up not making it, but then because of that, it led me to the next step, which was the Visalis.
Okay.
And so through Visalis, it started off with do a challenge. You had to pick a challenge, and then you picked a kit, and then you worked your challenge. You set a goal and you worked your challenge, and then and you did it for 90 days. Okay. And so at that time, I did it for business reasons, and I did it out of faithfulness to the Lord, and I had success. It didn't take much for me to change my diet a little bit and lose a little, whatever weight that I had, which wasn't very much, but I built muscle pretty well and easily, and then I had a lot of enthusiasm. It was like I just had a lot of energy.
After that, 90 days is over, you kind of discovered probably a new sense of yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually.
It was exciting. It was, I didn't realize how much of a I guess I just didn't realize how much. Well, okay, so I'll say this. Exercise, I think, released chemicals that I probably needed naturally because I, dealt with depression. I dealt with, a lot of anxiety and nervousness. And so when I started exercising, it almost got to be where if I didn't, I was mad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because you were probably feeling those healthy endorphins
yes.
for the first time in a long
right.
time.
Never. Ever.
Yeah. Probably the first time in your life.
I never played sports. I never, our family wasn't that way. My parents worked 2 jobs and we were home, and we just active sports lifestyle was never part of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I think sometimes for people who have never been, on a journey of physical wellness, they don't sometimes know what they're missing.
Absolutely.
Which is hard to sell someone on something if,
yes.
if you can't imagine an alternative, or like you said, you probably couldn't even conceptualize the amount of pain you were in because that was your barometer.
Normal. It was my normal. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So once I started, changing, so I started off with drinking a shake. It was drinking a shake and taking some vitamins for breakfast. And then if you wanted to, you could do a second one for lunch. And so that's how I started. And then I just started feeling good. I had all kinds of energy. I was having success I started to pick up running and biking and working out at home using the Xbox. And initially it was hard, but I said a prayer. I said prayers over it. I gave it to God. I said, Lord, I asked, for you to help me that, I wanted to be good at it. And so running was not my, I had flat feet. I was,
as do I, as you've seen.
Right. and I had foot surgery, and I didn't know all the things that I had set up for injury, but the Lord gave me success. I had a really good outcome, but He gave me shoes that were ideal for my feet, and I didn't understand them because they were heavy and clunky. But they had this little curvature that helped to manage that part of the flat.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to run. I call them grandma shoes.
Yeah.
But they don't look the greatest, but they work.
But they work, and
Yeah.
they keep you out of injury. So even before I had the understanding that I have now, I had this protection by listening to to what the Lord was showing me and how He led and provided for me. So so that was pretty much how I got started.
Okay.
And then through that I started like talking about it to other people because it was a business.
Yeah.
And it was basically I could sell it easily because I believed in it. Like I knew that that shake mix, it costs less than a healthier meal. And if you wanted to lose weight and you drink that shake mix, I'm gonna tell you would lose weight. It had all the vitamins, the nutrition, the protein, non-GMO, no sugar. I mean, like it was like,
you can tell when people are disingenuous in their sales pitch to you, especially when it comes to like changing your lifestyle. And I feel like the strongest sales pitch is like a genuine testimonial of like, hey, I know this for a fact because I was on the other side. So it probably wasn't hard for you to convince people because there was no fluff in what you were trying to sell them.
Oh yeah, and I knew it. I could talk to everybody.
What a 360 from, you said, someone who's very introverted,
right?
And wouldn't leave the house, and now you're telling anyone and everyone
right.
about things that can help.
We were in the gas station in the bathroom. I remember we were traveling to one of those events, and I was in the bathroom, and some other girl was in the bathroom, and I was telling them about the 90-day challenge.
Just random strangers at the gas station.
Yep.
Wow. That's how you know someone really changed your life around, though.
Yeah.
Which it's also kind of crazy to think about that. You were well into adulthood, and you just did a 180, and that's how sometimes there's a quote, to believe with certainty you must first begin by doubting.
Yeah.
And to have lived basically lost for a long time in your life, and then to find something that probably has to feel so good.
It was just a radical change for me. It was a really radical change. I think that it transformed a lot of areas in my life.
Okay.
And not saying that everything was easy, but it definitely everything changed, and it's still changing. Like fitness is an industry where it doesn't stay constant.
Yeah.
There is never ever you're done. It's always a journey, and
Yeah.
it's always ever changing, because as we change, our body changes, our mind changes, our environment changes. Like all the dimensions of wellness can change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This might be a hard question to even answer, but
Okay.
if you could talk to yourself, your 2023 self could go back to talk to yourself, say circa 2008, 2009.
Right.
What would be your pitch to yourself
About.
about, I guess, what you're missing, or what you should be looking for out of life, or I guess what ultimately happened was going to have to happen anyway. But I guess I'm asking, like, what would you tell someone who is struggling and probably can feel that they could live a healthier life in whatever dimension they're suffering in? Like, what would you have any advice for that, or any perspective?
I was thinking about the things that are the most challenging for people that are trying to get healthy, and I came up with 3 things. The first one is belief. The second one is so hold on. It was belief, it was knowledge and understanding, and prioritization.
Okay. In no particular order, or those 3 in order, you think? Probably.
I would
You
say
have to
belief
believe
is first.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
You can't prioritize if you don't believe.
Yeah. And belief comes in not just, so belief has to first be, in my opinion, you have to be worth it. So in all the choices that I make, I have to work from the place of my value. And I don't look at it as a place of my value and that I'm better than anybody kind of thing. I look at it as a place in that I'm not any good to anybody, or any use, for serving or for helping or for being kind or loving or any of the fruits of the Spirit that God calls me to, if I'm in a broken, beat up, hurting place.
Hey, I just wanted to pause and take a moment to dwell on that concept for a bit. Lisa just brought up something that I think is so important for improving in any dimension of wellness: belief, prioritization, knowledge, and understanding. First off, you have to believe in yourself and believe that you deserve more. That's very important. We deserve more in all these dimensions of wellness, And sometimes I don't think we improve because I don't think we realize that we deserve more in those areas. So once we have that belief, it's on us to prioritize ourselves, prioritize our wellness. And you may ask, well, I don't really know how to do that. Well, that's where the knowledge and understanding comes in. And once again, that's on us to go seek that out. And the more you seek, the more you'll find, and the more you'll start to be able to discover things for yourself, find people who can help you on that journey. So I think those 4 things are very important. And this is a little bit of the wisdom that I was talking about that comes from Lisa. So we're going to talk more about being able to value yourself in just a little bit. So we were talking about value. Sometimes it's hard for people to see the value in themselves. And you talked about how if you didn't see the value in yourself, it's hard for you to be of service and value to other people.
Absolutely.
Which is very important.
Absolutely. You know? So that's what health, when I look at it now, I don't look at it as an image or as something that I'm not good enough for or that I need to achieve in order to be good enough. I look at it as a way to value myself.
Yes.
And so I work out so that I have heart health. I work out so that I have strength and stability and balance and flexibility. I work out because it helps me mentally and emotionally, and I also want to represent ideals for my children to live up to. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that everybody's got different ideals and values. But for me, I love what I do. I love working. I feel very gifted and blessed for being able to do it. Mm-hmm. And in order for me to continue doing that, I have to take care of myself. There's no way I can take care of anybody else if I don't take care of myself.
I think a lot of people, and I say this all the time, mm-hmm. It's hard to pour from an empty cup.
Yes.
So you got to fill your cup up first and take care of you. Some people, I think, who are just so generous all the time, just through their sheer big heart and compassion, have to realize that you can be more generous sometimes if you take the time for yourself and take care of yourself. It'll behoove you and those around you.
So so for me, what I see is a lot of people saying they don't have time. They don't have time and they don't have money, the two things that they need in order to take care of themselves.
Yes.
You have to take care of yourself. You have to give yourself. You have to prioritize yourself. The world will try to steal all of your energy. They'll try to take everything from you. It just is, everybody's more important. Everything is more important. But if you don't purposefully make that time for yourself, and self-care can be exercise, but it can also be rest. It can also be the way you treat yourself, mentally. It can be how you the choices you make when you eat. Everybody's different in what they need, but in terms of healthiness, you have to know yourself and what you need, and then you have to take care of that. You have to prioritize that for yourself.
This is how I know, we just talked about this off camera, how all the dimensions are connected.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? If you're not physically well,
yes,
that bleeds over into
everything.
Other social wellness, financial wellness,
yes,
especially because
health is wealth. If you don't take care of your health, you're going to pay for it other places.
I think the older people get, the more they realize that, and even younger people sometimes when they realize that, it's a fleeting thing, your health, and you have to.
It's not promised to everyone.
Yeah, and I think for you, you said belief, knowledge, and prioritization. So when you started out with your belief. Then you gain the knowledge, just, knowledge here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Started with the smoothies.
Precept upon precept.
Yeah. And then it came to a point, it sounds like, where it was easy for you to prioritize because you were liking the results.
Yes.
I felt great. I'm going to prioritize this one because now I know it's healthy.
Right.
But you're probably also like, the healthier I get, the better I feel.
Right.
So.
But the problem is that not everybody has the same outcome. Like you can want to lose weight, but you can be very frustrated. And there's a lot of reasons for the condition people are in. It's never ever just one. Stress, age, illness, disease, repetition, what we do, how we think, our lifestyle, what we've had access to. For example, I look at my life and I'm amazed because my beginning shouldn't have had this. My beginning, I was abandoned on the streets. I had poor nutrition. I had poor emotional, and there was so much that was missing from my life that should have ended with nothing. But so I'll say praise the Lord because I have health, I have, my understanding of my value. The Lord has restored me in so many ways. In so many ways, He's given me healing. In so many ways, He's just allowed me to encourage other people. Gifted me with the ability to encourage other people. They gifted with me ability to help other people. Physically. And what I learned is that everybody's got a different story. But if you ignore it, it's like your body's like a car on a hill. If you ignore it, you're just going to go downhill. And the older you are, the faster it goes downhill. And the more pain and the more suffering, the more disease can set in. So no matter how hard it is, if you put the energy and effort into that, and through prayer and through your work, then it will add up. It's like if you have an expensive car, this is muscle building. People that build a lot of muscle, you're building a big house. You're building an expensive car. That car is going to require a lot of understanding. But if you do the building and you don't take care of it, you're going to have a really big house that's got a lot of problems.
And that's a tough. That bill is going to come due metaphorically at some point.
Yep.
Do you feel like I said before, it seems like you had a really tough life before you found God, and that sort of changed everything for you. What are you struggling with now from your previous, I want to say previous life, but your early life, and what do you find that's healthy coping mechanisms? Because I think sometimes it's hard when you're trying to better yourself to not have coping mechanisms that are too unhealthy, or you're overdoing it. How do you try to keep a balanced life?
Okay, so my first one is prayer. The word says, in all things, through prayer and supplication, you make your requests known. So do not be anxious or worried about anything. And I will confess, I was very worried about this podcast. But God knows, how much I struggle. But He also shows me that, perfect love casts out all fear. That, that those who fear have not been made perfect in love. And so, but I have to walk through that. I have to see that. I have to experience that. I have to go through that. And then, does everything happen perfectly? No. But I'll learn from it. And Christ, in Christ, we have the ability to get up, and His mercies are new every day. So it gives me the strength and the power to be able to get up even after I fall. So prayer is absolutely the number one. Exercise has been a lot of what's helped me to cope in terms of managing stress and anxiety, because it helps my mood, it helps me prepare for the day. But at the same time, I've had to learn a lot about myself with exercise in terms of, I've had foot surgery, I've had abdominal surgery, I've had wrist surgery. So I've had my own fair share of trauma that affects muscles. And when you have trauma to the body through scar tissue, there's definitely an impact in the body. And especially if you do repetitive motion and you put it under high stress. So it's helped me to learn more about pathways that are created in the body as a result of, exercise. So I allow it to teach me. And then I take that teaching and I try to help other people understand their pathways. So that's, so it's kind of like a double-edged sword exercise can be. It's like, sometimes you can create your own more stress. But if you're willing to learn, that's that knowledge. That's teachable. Yeah.
What I like about that answer is it's like very realistic about like what recovery from anything looks like.
Yes.
Because if you're recovering from something, you always have to have maintenance. I've heard people who are former addicts of all kinds say, I will always be an addict, but that doesn't mean I will always indulge in whatever my addiction was before. And to me, I think that's healthy, because you're recognizing like, hey, what I overcame can always lie dormant inside of me if I don't continue to do maintenance on myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. Everything, you always have to continue to work on your health.
Yes.
Because it's never like, oh, physically well, check. Financially well, check. I mean, you could lose all that wealth just as quickly, or if not quicker, than you gained it.
So sometimes I think that today's strength is tomorrow's weakness.
Ooh.
And sometimes
gems.
Yep. And sometimes yesterday's weakness is today's strength. So, and but it keeps us humble.
Yeah. Very situational and okay.
Yeah. Just always be willing to learn. That's what I think that's been one of my strengths in myself, is that that I see I try to see everything as a learning opportunity.
Yes.
It's hard to fail. I don't like failing. But unfortunately, you can't do anything successful in life without failure.
It's the only way I've
Yeah.
come to realize. Very, very, very rarely do you get everything right on the first time, and if that's the case,
Yeah.
whatever you go on to next, you are still
Yeah.
probably gonna have to go through that. And it's, to me, I don't see it as failure. I see it as you just discovering the answer to the equation of whatever problem that you need to solve. When you solve for X, sometimes you go, okay, that's not it, that's not it, and then you finally get to the
Yeah.
next thing, and that's what failure is. And I think people, for me personally, when I fail, my perspective is always like, all right, you just solved for another part of the equation. You know that's not the direction you need to go.
Right.
So now try something else. I wish I had more knowledge of math to give a better analogy, but I don't.
That's okay. That's okay. I get it though. Yeah. What it's hard to do, what's the tough part about failure that I will acknowledge for myself is that it's not my identity. Do you know that sometimes we can put that pressure on ourselves, and that's true for fitness too.
Yeah.
Like people will set a goal, and then sometimes they'll set goals that are way higher than what they're ready for, and then they'll let that failure kind of like hinder them from pushing forward. It's like,
Yeah.
well, or even from beginning. The same thing with if you're like, for example, I'll give weight loss. So a lot of people want to lose weight, and they've tried before and they fail. They try again, they fail. They try again, they fail. But instead of coming back to it and trying to learn from it, they just keep repeating the same mistake.
Yeah.
And then they don't know why they keep failing. And then but then they can also let that feeling of constantly like trying and failing make it feel overwhelming, and then they don't want to begin again, and then they really then it really becomes more of a problem. Then they regret that they didn't start sooner, and then it's kind of like this really downhill.
It's a vicious cycle.
It really is.
We went over an acronym off camera though that was really, I love it.
Yes.
SMART. With specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. Okay.
Yes.
I like that because that sort of fits into what we were just talking about for people who kind of have said every January 1st, I'm going to get this membership and I'm going to keep it this year. I'm going to drop that 35, 15, 20 pounds I've been saying since I was going to drop since however long. But the SMART acronym, I really like that.
Yes.
Specific, I think sometimes people's goals are too broad. I want to be healthy. Well, that can mean
a lot of things.
A bevy of things.
Yeah.
Measurable, like, all right, how do I know if I'm making progress?
If you've had success.
Attainable, like I said, if you're in your 50s, in 5'3", you're making the NBA might not be the most attainable goal. We will still all dream.
Yeah.
Realistic, I think, also kind of goes into how would you say attainable versus realistic?
So attainable is attainable can be really because I think of the scripture, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you.
So all is attainable.
I mean, but maybe like for example, if you weigh 500 pounds and you want to lose 200 pounds, I mean, like in a month, I mean that's not attainable.
That's not attainable.
Yeah, but neither is it realistic either.
It's not attainable, but it is realistic to lose 200 pounds.
Yes,
but then,
not in that smart time frame.
And then we go to the last one, timely, which it all ties in.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's why a lot of, and I've done some research about this, and I've even written an article that's up on our website now that talks about habit forming and how to break and build habits.
Right.
And a lot of it is the framework in which you perceive that and how you set yourself up for failure with what the goals you set, the time of day that you try to achieve these habits, the environments that you set up for yourself. And I think that's the hard part when we talk about physical wellness. A lot of our modern society is not conducive to being physically well.
I think they want to be, but I think that they don't prioritize it.
I mean more so. For example, we just talked about like the grocery store. Like a lot of the food in the grocery store is very hard if you don't have the knowledge to be physically healthy, or someone might have a job that they have to be at their desk for 9 hours a day.
Oh my gosh,
and it's just really tough.
Yeah. So it's like and I deal with that with people. Like I have people that come in that work a job and they have to they're always sitting and they always have to be here for hours. And so and I try to it's trying to teach them that maybe this is where down the road differences will be made, like in corporate America and in jobs. Just teaching about, that if you're an employer, you want to take care of your employees, because sitting in a chair for hours and hours and hours and hours, doing something repetitively without a break and without training those muscles and training the body to be able to handle that stress is very damaging to the person.
Yeah, you could be losing productivity out of your employee by
absolutely
subjecting them to a lifestyle that maybe you might not get 10 years out of them on the back end, or maybe the time that they do have at your company, they just might be sick and not well, and you might be losing, like I said, their fullest potential.
And you're paying, and the companies pay insurance for this. Like they're paying insurance.
That's a good point. That's probably a better argument to get companies to understand. Right. It's just the bottom line. I think if you prioritize health, your bottom line will actually be a lot more lucrative for the companies.
Yeah, and then I think about the children. Our children are sitting in school, and they're sitting for hours and hours and hours at a desk. They're, so I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people are in that we are in the condition that we're in. But I don't know, how things will work out in the future. But I know that what I see and observe, if we don't change things, there's going to be a lot of the healthcare industry is going to be very inundated.
Yeah. So, what would you say if what are your tips that you would give someone, anybody on the spectrum, people who are probably like myself, who fancy themselves to be healthy, but there's a lot of, as I'm learning now, a lot of things that I'm missing holistically, or people who have not been healthy in a very long time or ever, like what are simple things that you would encourage people to do? So,
thankfully, we live in an era now where information is at the palm of your hands. Like it doesn't take much to go online. So the ability to get information is much more accessible. So I would say to start with is to set a goal. That's how I started. It was to set a goal, and then in that goal, you work it. You find out what you need to do. It's like if you want to lose weight, then you find out what it takes to lose weight, and then whether you have success or not, it doesn't matter if you meet that goal, but as long as you're willing to learn and be teachable and you continue to strive towards that goal, you will get there. You may make some mistakes along the way. You may find out that this wasn't as effective, or as it didn't do as much as you thought it would do, or maybe this hindered you, or but either way you learned.
So it sounds like to you, just get started.
Yeah. Set a goal. If you go to the doctor, you have high blood pressure, find out what creates high blood pressure. If you don't know, ask the doctor. And then get started. And if you need help, seek out a professional.
I've been told, and I've heard before, like it's okay to do something badly, as long as you are set on continuing to do it and improve.
Okay, so my saying is no exercise or bad. Okay, so I focus a lot on form and function, but I'll tell people that bad exercise is better than no exercise. But good form is better than no exercise or bad form. Do you know?
I guess what I meant by that, because I don't, and I'm glad you said that, because I don't want to influence people to just willy-nilly just deadlift 700 pounds with no correct form. What I'm saying is, if you would like to play the guitar, play badly before you can play well.
Hey, it's me again. I just wanted to pause once more and talk about this concept of getting started. As I think back on some of the previous conversations that we've had with guests in the past, there's a theme here. It always comes to a moment in everyone's journey where they are in new territory and they have a decision to make. And that decision is to stop and stay around what's familiar, or possibly not change for the better or get well, or to do the scary thing sometimes and try to improve. It seems like every guest that I've talked to has experienced that moment, and each guest has reacted the same. Even though they were fearful and didn't know what might happen, they all took that leap of faith and everything worked out. Maybe it didn't work out how they had planned, but they ended up doing things that were unimaginable. So I think for me, that's one of the things that I think we need to focus on, and I'm excited to highlight as we move on in season 3.
So
I guess with all that being said, just sort of putting a bow on everything, we talked about the most important thing is getting started.
Yes.
And we talked about, smart. We talked about belief, knowledge, and then what was the prioritization. For someone who, after listening to this conversation, might be coming to terms with the fact that they are in pain, maybe they know it subconsciously, what would you say to them about even taking that first step in getting started, addressing that pain, coming to terms with that, and feeling okay with getting started? Is it going to be a spiritual reformation? Mm-hmm. Will it be a physical reformation? Or it just determines, it's from, I guess, each person's different. I guess, would that be your overall assessment in that?
So for me, the key is Jesus, and it's on the cross. And I think I shared this with you before. The cross is meant for, our healing comes from God. And a lot of people have pain, and a lot of times pain represents our spirit, what our condition of our spirit. A lot of times, not all the time maybe, but what I'll say is for me, it was in coming to the cross, and it was in prayer. And through that prayer life, not that everything's been easy, but I believe that in trusting the Lord, I've learned kind of areas to work on, and so what I would say for other people is that there's a lot of pain in the world. Mm-hmm. But if you don't start working on your health, and if you don't start taking care of your body, that pain adds up. And the old saying is, hurt people hurt people. Mm. So it behooves us, especially as Christians, not to take care of our health, because we're called to love. We're not called to hurt. We're called to love. And so but it's really, really tough if we don't find that place of healing and restoration. So I think that begins in prayer, and I think it ends in being obedient to what God shows us. And He shows us through health, that nutrition. He shows us health through physical activity, and He shows us health through rest. And there was one more. Recovery.
Listening.
Good job.
So it sounds like, speaking of listening, like you got to listen and be willing to listen, and whether, like you said, that was a spiritual, that preceded your physical.
Yes.
But I guess you got to listen, and you have to be willing to sort of sit down and be honest and be able to prioritize yourself so you can just be well with others.
And humility. In other words, I don't know all the answers.
Yeah.
But if I come across somebody that has the professional understanding, be open to that.
Yes.
Listen to it, and pray about everything. Because there's a reason why. I always believe there's many people that God puts me in front of, and I know to speak very openly, because I just believe that that's my effort to love other people, is to to try to help them. But a lot of times, I get a different response, and it's okay, but it's really, I just think people should know that God loves them, and that healing is there, but, and there's a lot of people that, they need different things, and not everything is for everyone, but if you have that prayer life, and you have that walk with God, that He will lead you to where you need to be. And then you just have to trust the process, and that's really tough.
I like that. Trust the process.
Yeah.
Well, I've certainly been humbled working with you. Thanks for working on me earlier.
Absolutely.
Thanks for sharing all this stuff with us.
It's been a joy.
Thanks for sharing your story. And you have been an amazing first guest and kickoff to season 3. So thank you, Lisa, so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. I've really enjoyed the talking, and you're really an amazing host. Thank you.
All right, guys, we will see you next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye. Wow, that was an amazing conversation I had with Lisa, and I appreciate you making it this far. Please stick around for this next part as Lisa takes me through a session as if I was one of her patients. Now, this part was very fun and also kind of challenging for me. Lisa helped me work through some mobility issues and explain what might be causing them. Her advice was life-changing, and now I'm foam rolling pretty much every night, to say the least. So check it out.
Ready.
All right, cool. Let's do it.
Okay, so hip mobility, one of the stretches that you can do, or movements, is the 90-90 box box thing. So what you'll do is you'll get on the ground.
Okay.
You'll position your legs so that one leg is back and one leg is forward, and then you'll aim to sit up nice and tall. So if you'll notice that you want to have your hip lined up with your knee, your leg comes back, and then if you want, you can challenge the other side just by twisting and turning.
Just by twisting and turning, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
So
you want to test what you can do first.
So I'm right here.
Yep.
Now I want to challenge.
And so you're going to take the knees and you're going to move them up.
Just like this.
Excellent. Yep. And then back onto the other side.
Okay. And I should have been like this.
That's okay. There's no perfection. It's just a better than.
Okay.
So you want to feel where it's tight. You want to feel where the restrictions are, because those are the areas that kind of hinder you being able to do that. So we want to take some time and help those muscles to kind of loosen up so that they can go into that position more easily, because the more access you have to the muscles in your hips, then the better movements you'll have, right?
And you can tell I'm tight because that was kind of hard for me?
Yes.
Okay.
And because when the way you're positioned, your body is kind of contorted to trying to...
I can feel it. I can feel it.
Okay, so now I'm going to show you a stretch that you can do in that position too that's just a little different, okay? So you can also come here, and when you press up, you can push the hips forward.
So I'm right here. Press up. Push the hips forward.
And so when you push the hips forward, you're going to stretch out the muscle here.
Okay.
Okay, and then when you go back, I'm sorry, do that again one more time. So you're going to come up. Now watch my legs real quick. So you're going to take your legs and switch down. Just a little different, that's all. And then come back down.
Okay.
So it's a way to make it an active stretch.
Okay.
So you can do the stretch, press up, squeeze the glutes, come back down.
Come back down. And then press up again and turn.
So you can do either one. So you can do this one, just change it out, or you can do this one if it's hard to do the other one. Bring the legs out and back.
I think that was a little bit easier. To press up.
So you get the activation.
And then
go back down.
Go back down.
Yep. Okay. But we can want to work on a lot of that tightness in the hips so that will be easier. So a lot of people start there, but what massage therapy can do is it can help make those muscles less restricted, so you have better access to them. You ready? You want to try it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. Okay, so if you get on the table.
All right. Which way?
You lay face up.
Face up?
We'll start face up.
All right.
So one of the things I want to do is find out where that restriction tightness comes in.
Okay.
And so actually, I'm going to put you on your side, because I already can tell by the way your feet are positioned that your external rotators are tight.
Okay.
So you're going to turn on your side and you can face me. So a couple of ways that I can work is I can work with hands-on.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll take the muscle here and we'll go here, and I can just palpate to feel the tension in the muscle. So we'll go through here, and I'll be able to tell probably your external rotators, they attach. Go ahead and put the knee here, bend the knee, bend the knee, bend the knee. Push this leg back and straighten it out. Straighten it out.
This?
Yep, straighten it back. Right there. Okay, so now scoot back towards me so you're closer. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to put my hands here so we can get into that muscle. And if you can tell, that muscle right there is a little bit more restricted, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is we're going to come back through here. Okay, and you're going to take the leg, you're going to stack it.
Stack it?
Nope, stack it on top of that one.
Okay.
Okay, put this leg on the table.
Okay.
Right there. Okay, just like that. Okay, so now you're going to take the leg, you're going to raise it straight up. Okay, and then you're going to scooch back towards me with the leg. Push the hip forward.
Push the hip forward.
Okay, so no, relax, relax, relax. Okay, so you're going to close the hips, just like that. Stack the legs, and you're going to pull right there. Okay, so now ready? You're going to take the leg, you're going to raise it straight up. Okay, right there. Now you can feel the difference in the hip, right? And so I can tell the muscles engaged. So now you're going to keep the knee just like that, and you're going to press straight back. Push straight back with the leg straight. Push straight back, squeeze. Okay, got it. And then resist back. Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
No, you're fine.
I don't mean to shove. Okay, so ready? We're going to do it again. Ready? Relax the leg.
Okay.
Okay, so what I want to do is I just want to make this muscle kind of relax a little bit. So let's go back up this. Okay, so bend the knee, bend the knee, bend the knee, and then you're going to take the leg. Let's see, hold on one second. And raise it straight up from here. Raise it, so lift straight up. With the, go ahead and keep the knee bent on this one.
Knee bent, okay.
Yeah, knee bent right there. Okay, and then go back down. And then, hold on. Do it one more time with the muscle. Ready? Back up again. Okay, that's not hard, right?
No.
Okay, go straight leg. Got it. Okay, so now, okay, relax first. Relax first.
Yeah.
Okay, so ready? Now go back up.
Straight leg.
Straight leg, straight leg
Okay.
up. Got it. And then press back. Got it. Okay, relax down. Okay, so I'm just going to do a manual release on the glute real quick. Can you tell that's kind of loosened up a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not nearly as tight as it was. And so for the, so hamstring, okay, so a lot of muscles affect the muscles in the pelvis, so I'm gonna actually have you turn onto your stomach. We're gonna work on the hamstring. I'm gonna apply some heat to the hamstring.
Okay.
Because your hamstrings are probably very tight.
Now, what would, let me make sure I get my mic here.
Hold on.
What would make, all these muscles tight?
right,
Just a
so-
lack of stretching, or?
Okay, so hold on. I'm a little dyslexic with the left and the right. So what side was I just working on?
You were working
This
on the
one?
right, yeah, the right
Perfect.
side.
Okay. So, so what muscle? What causes tightness in the hamstring? A lot of times it's sitting. It can vary from person. It can vary. So sitting definitely does that. Weakness in the glutes when you're not using your glutes. Usually it's a lot of hip flexion.
Okay.
That makes the glutes less active and the hamstrings more active. But specifically sitting, because you lengthen your hamstrings when you sit, and then when they stay in a lengthened position, they become stressed.
Okay.
But this right here should be helping to relax the muscles quite a bit.
Oh, it feels great.
Yeah.
And we sit a lot as Americans, so that's
Yes.
probably.
Yes, okay, so I'm gonna take the leg, we're gonna
Okay.
test, okay, so keep the knee bent and stay relaxed. I'm gonna move the leg, okay, ready? I'm gonna move the leg, you're gonna relax. So this is another point here. So when I move the leg up, you feel how the hip bone left the mat?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of hip flexion.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why when you try to bend from the knee, as soon as you do, you go into flexion, which is, so we're gonna work a little bit on that hamstring for just a second. I'm just gonna check it out. So ready, relax.
Okay.
So I'm gonna bend, and then I'm just gonna let the muscle in the shortened state kind of get a little bit of rest. Got it, nice and easy, got it? Good?
Yep.
Got it. So now, if it's too much stress, just let me know, and then I can ease off, okay? But otherwise, I try to just to help the muscle to feel that work, and we're gonna come down, and relax it, good. You can always breathe in here, and then on the work, you'll breathe out, just to keep the body nice and relaxed. And all I'm doing is I'm just making a little space in the hamstring to be able to move again,
Okay.
so that there's less stress that's placed on the pelvis. Okay, so now you're going to turn on the side. We're going to keep the work on this hip.
Which side? The
So you're gonna-
opposite side?
You're going to turn back on this side.
Okay, back on this side.
Yep, so we're going to be right here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work in this upper end. So
Okay.
you're going to go here, and I'm just going to work a little bit right here, because this is where I think a lot of your tightness is, right through here.
Okay.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to put a little heat there.
What are you using for heat?
Stones, hot stones.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So with a client, I can work both with clothing and without clothing.
Okay.
So I always tell people the more access I have to the skin, the better work I can do. So as you could tell, like on the hamstring, it's easier to move on the hamstring with the skin.
Yeah.
But like on some areas, it's harder. The other thing I do too is cupping.
Okay.
And cupping is another great tool to help with muscles so that they can.
So the cupping is when I think I've seen people who look like they've gotten attacked by an octopus sometimes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is cupping.
Okay.
Cupping is an excellent tool for helping muscles to relax. I could do that if you're open to that.
I would definitely be open to cupping if we had time today.
Okay, so it won't take but a second. Hold on. Yeah. So basically, cupping is nice because if you're okay if I put this underneath the clothing. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just lift and put this underneath the clothing, and then in the area that it's the most restricted, which is right here, right? What it does is it actually allows. So it's different than massage therapy in that massage therapy you're pressing down, but cupping you're pulling up. So when you pull up, you allow the blood to come up from the bottom, and when there's a lot of tension in the muscle, usually there's lack of blood flow.
Okay.
So cupping helps to encourage blood flow, and it also helps to draw out those chemicals that tell the muscle to stay contracted. So when you use cupping and you allow the blood flow to happen and the muscles to relax through releasing those chemicals that get stuck in the bottom, then there's usually immediate relief from pain.
Now, do you do cupping in conjunction with massage?
Yes.
Okay, because one is like the opposite of the other, as you just explained?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they the muscles they have different ways of responding to different things, and sometimes cupping is, so you'll tell a difference when I do this.
Yeah.
So now this should not be as tender,
No, not at all.
right? So that's the difference in cupping.
Feels completely different.
Yeah. Good job.
Wow.
Okay, so now go ahead on your back.
Okay.
And I'm going to work on the front side with the quad, since we know that's also what keeps the leg in hip extension.
Okay.
or flexion rather, I'm sorry, flexion. So your quads are really snug. So what I can do, so if you want to be more directly on the skin, you can raise the pants legs and I can work with the fascia blaster. So it's another tool that we can use in order to help muscles that are overactive. And a lot of times in the quads, the fascia will get restricted when you overuse them.
Okay.
It's a common place to release fascia. How about that?
Yeah, I do pretty, I kind of stick to the same workout regimen and I don't deviate. And I think that's why I have a lot of the same hip issues.
Okay, so are you okay if I use the lotion on the skin?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So I'll raise up, well, you have tight pants on. So you want to kind of go up as high as you can, but you have shorts on that are really restrictive. So what I'll do is I'll just go where I can, okay?
Okay.
But really you want to be up in here, because that's where the most, like the hip tension mostly is, but I can work with it through the pants, but I'll just work down here so you can feel the difference.
Okay.
So down here, when you work on the skin, so you can tell you definitely do a lot of quad work, because those muscles right there are definitely more tense.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that can create, the tension is what creates the restriction for the movement in the body.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so alleviating the tension will help the movement overall.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're gonna be able to feel that in just a second. Okay, so now what you're gonna do for me is you're gonna take this leg, point the toe up, you're gonna make this muscle nice and tight, and it doesn't be a hard pull, but just like, you know, not pointed. And then you give me a slight raise there, and then we'll just do a little work here.
Okay. Wow.
It's okay?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, relax. So one of the things that you'll notice is blood flow. You'll probably get real warm there. Okay, ready? And again, repeat. Make the muscle tight. So when you make the muscle tight and somebody has a lot of muscle, what happens is that it's hard to get down in those smaller, in the bigger muscles. So this helps to kind of help the muscle to get deeper, you know, with the fascia.
Okay.
And relax. And you should feel like a noticeable difference.
100%. 100%. 100%. I haven't probably properly stretched and released tension from these in months, if not years.
Right.
So, wow.
So, and I can feel that right there. If you can tell, I'm running right on that. So we're gonna do a little bit more tension on that one, okay? So we're gonna come up, so I stayed over here, so now we're gonna come up the front line. So your quad muscles are actually 4.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew that.
What does that mean?
4 muscles.
4, oh yeah, 4, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, ready? Point and raise and lift. So, so depending on which, and they all have different insertions and origins.
Okay.
And depending on which muscle you're working on depends on how it affects, you know, the hip, because not all of the muscles insert and attach onto the same place.
Okay.
But in general, the quads are your front quad muscles, so front thigh muscles, so it's okay. Got it.
Yeah, I must admit I have neglected stretching and flexibility over the years. I used, like I said, I used to be very into it when I took,
relax.
you know, karate and other martial arts because it was part of the regimen, but I've fallen off from that. My body is letting me know.
Okay, and it should not, if ever it's too much, you should just tell me, okay?
No, it feels great.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna go ahead now, I'm gonna give a little bit of work to the muscle since we've kind of like loosened up the fascia. So now we're gonna go ahead, you can take a deep breath in here, and then you're gonna breathe out and relax. And I'm just gonna add a little stress, time and tension. I like to use a number scale. So the number scale is 1 to 10, 1 is nothing, 10's off the charts. Usually people that work out, they can tolerate stress pretty good, but I also can feel the muscle, so I'm running that muscle. How much stress is that on a scale of 1 to 10?
Maybe a 2, 3.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of tension, and you don't ever want to go more than what the muscle can tolerate.
Okay.
Even if it's not painful, because you don't want to damage it, but that way it'll release nicely. And see, that's already better. It's very responsive.
Yeah.
Can you tell?
Of course.
See, there's a lot more give there. So foam rolling would be very beneficial for you because you're responsive to that stress.
So after every workout, I should really be stretching and foam rolling.
I always teach inhibit, lengthen, and strengthen.
Okay.
Which means inhibit is like the inhibition of the muscle, which is foam rolling, massage therapy. It could be fascia blasting, cupping, but whatever recovery to help the muscle, you know, so that it doesn't keep that tension.
Okay.
And then lengthening is stretching. And then if you're stretching, I tell people that you don't want to do static stretching when you're getting ready to work out, because static stretching makes the muscle weak. You want to do a dynamic stretch.
Okay.
So it's just helping the muscle go into that lengthening and strengthening position.
Is static stretching okay after a workout, or is you're really more focused on dynamic stretching post and pre-workout?
So static stretching is more for when you're trying to really lengthen the muscle, but you don't want to do that when you're getting ready to work out, because it makes the muscle weak. When you keep a muscle long for a long time, like if you hang from a bar and then you try to do a pull-up, you're not going to have very much
You're
success.
not going to have, okay.
You won't have the same strength.
Okay.
Because the muscle's been lengthened, and when it's lengthened, can you recruit it very easily when it's in a lengthened position for very long? No.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, so then when you when you work out, you want to do, a general dynamic warm-up, which is just whatever exercises you're doing, you want to help that muscle come into that tension, that length tension by, helping it to get ready for the movement.
Okay.
Sometimes we start off, and the older we get, the more cold the muscles can be, and the more stiff and rigid they can be. So by warming up, you're allowing the body to be able to access, the greater range, without causing harm, being too forceful or too quick. Okay, so this one should feel better. So now I'm gonna come down through here. Okay, so now we're gonna go up in here, and then I'm gonna be right here. Okay, so ready? You're gonna take a deep breath in, relax the leg, take a deep breath in, and breathe it out. And I'm just gonna go in. Let me know if that's okay. That's okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, again, breathe in, and breathe out. Good. Good stress? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now I'm gonna take the leg here. We're just gonna move it in and out. A lot of muscles affect the hips, so we're gonna do one more real quick.
Okay.
We're gonna take the knee in, bend the knee, let the leg come out. Pretty good, okay. So we're gonna stay here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come into here, I'm gonna let the leg rest here, and I'm gonna come in through this way. Ready?
Okay.
So we're going through here, so we're gonna come in through here. So ready? You're gonna take the leg and you're gonna pull in towards the midline. Are you ready?
Like this way?
You're gonna go this way.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna use that adductor muscle. Ready?
Okay.
And come on in, pull in. Not all your strength, like 30%. Don't let me pull it down. Got it? And relax it. Relax the leg all the way down. See that? It went much better, right?
Oh yeah. Normally that would be very hard for me to even.
Right.
Wow.
So
Okay.
here, and here. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go that way. We're gonna test that range. So you're gonna leave the hip down.
And I'm gonna push.
You're going to push out towards me.
Okay.
Ready? Press out. Okay, keep the hip down. Don't let the body do the work. Let the leg do the work. Yeah. Okay, ready? Again, press, 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 and hold 1. Don't let me move the leg. 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. You're going to let the leg go over, 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 over. That should feel like a nice stretch. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then we're going to do straight leg. Ready?
Okay.
Take the leg and you're going to press straight out.
All right.
Towards my hand.
Towards.
Yep.
Wait. So
you're going to press out.
that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
But don't let the leg turn. You're just going to keep the leg nice and straight. Ready?
Okay.
Press the leg straight out. Just give me like 30% right there. Don't let me pull in. Hold 1. Good job. Relax the glute. 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Stretch. Back. Is that tender? Is that tight that way?
Not that I can tell.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's go on the floor. Let's just test it out.
All right. Whoa. It just feels good to walk. Nice.
Okay, ready?
All right. So.
Same box position. Which is, yep, just like that. Yep. Okay, and you're going to pay attention to the side I just worked on.
Okay.
All right, so see if you can sit up nice and tall.
Sit up? Like
Well, you know.
how I came?
Yeah, as much as you can, just as much as you can, and then switch out legs.
Okay. How did I do that? Should I?
Either way, any way you want. You can press up and then switch the legs.
That press up was much easier.
Mm-hmm. And then back down again. And then you should feel the difference even when you go back side to side.
Yeah.
Especially comparing the two hips.
Yeah, of course. This one definitely feels a lot. And I can still feel more tension here because you worked on this one, not this one.
Exactly. So if you stand up and do a quad stretch, that's another way. Or you could even stay down here like this, okay? And then take the one leg that I worked on and bring it up behind you. It doesn't matter. Either one is good. Take the one leg, and you'll just notice a difference. You'll notice a difference in the quad, that's all.
Yeah.
The ability to use it, and then switch and do the other side. So you have a lot of work to do on the quads. They're pretty tight. But they're better than what they were.
Barely even get that one up.
Right, but it's better than what it was.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yep, and if you come back down here, I worked on hamstring, so if you take here and you keep the back flat. See, back, nope, stand up.
Stand up.
So you want to keep the back flat. So you're going to pull the chest up. You're just going to push the butt back towards the other wall. You're not going to hip hinge. Keep the chest up, and when you hip hinge, you should feel the stretch in the quad and the hamstring. Don't let the back, keep the chest up. There we go. And then soft bend in the knee. You don't want to lock it out right there, but you're still giving it the back. So there you go. When you keep this, yep. You get the picture though, right?
Yeah.
Different.
Wow. Woo! I'm ready to go. Okay. That was awesome.
If you exercise, what you'll find is that you'll get better blood flow, you'll get better movement, you'll find that the muscle tension isn't there, so you won't have the same stress adding up. So it behooves you, if you're going to exercise, to not have this type of work.
Okay.
It's one of the things I think that's least taught. People think they have to exercise, but they don't understand the need for the body to recover.
I'm in that crowd of people now, but I am forever changed.
Hallelujah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good job.